Dela writes, my MVVs, welcome.
Yes, so confession of a dying priest. 92-year-old Paayeni admit he was paid to destroy Queen Naomi and also Iyaitunu by Ebonys family. You see, this Paayeni, as at 2 nights ago, they say Paayeni was unconscious. And of course, you know, he's very old. He is frail. You are aware of what he did last week where he said something about blood and oath and all of that. The reason why they are not paying attention to Paayeni is because he is aged. God has really blessed him with age. But sometimes you get really disappointed when you see people who are supposed to dispense wisdom to the younger generation behave the way Paayeni has behaved. It's such a big disappointment. Now, if you know what is going on, or for those who did not know, or who do not know rather. 3 years ago, a spiritual scandal quickly rocked the sacred hills of Osun worship, and now in his final days, the man at the center of it all, 92-year-old high priest Paayeni, has chosen to confess from his, sickbed in a mother's compound deep in Osogbo. The old priest, weakened by age and illness, has finally laid bare the truth that many suspected, but dared not to speak out. With a shaky voice and tears in his eyes, Paayeni admitted that he was paid by members of the influential Ebonys family to give a false spiritual reading against, Iyaitunu, casting a dark cloud over their names. And not just Iyaitunu, even Queen Naomi. There are things that this man did to Lori Naomi and removing them from their rightful position. According to Paayeni, the plot was calculated and driven by jealousy, political ambition and bitterness towards Queen Naomi's growing influence within both the palace and the sacred circle of, Ile Ife. Now, this is for Queen Naomi. They said, according to the man, I was promised protection, wealth for my children, and land if I could stand before the council and declare that, Osun herself had rejected, that woman, Iyaitunu, and also, because he was so well believed in, he made a lot of allegation against Olori Naomi at the time. But I don't want to join what this man did to Olori Naomi with this story, even though it is difficult to avoid it. I'm going to bring it on another story because I don't want to confuse you, right? They said Paayeni, he said Paayeni said they gave him a story and told him to repeat it. That they said Iyaitunu sold, sacred artifact to Chinese people and that she had no right, to remain the Yeye Loru Osun. I knew it was a lie, but I was afraid. I am an old man with children who depended on me. They said that this is what Baba was saying. An old man like that, you will allow little children to come and frighten you. They said this false prophecy shocked the spiritual community. Of course, Iyaitunu, known for her deep spiritual integrity and connection to the goddess Osun, was suddenly shamed, pushed aside, and forced to, keep silence. Along her other, her second, she had somebody who was working with her, a long-standing guardian and custodian of Osun mysteries, was also shamed and removed, accused of aiding, Iyaitunu in her so-called betrayal. Paayeni's confession also exposed the darker side of palace politics and spiritual manipulation. He explained that women were specially gathered and incited to stand against Iyaitunu during the council meeting. They were promised titles, recognition, and land in return for their voices. Iyaitunu betrayed and broken. The woman was so heartbroken, cried publicly, but no one dared listen. At the time, her tears were dismissed as crocodile tears, and her explanations were shut down. I saw her crying. Paayeni murmured, I saw Iyaitunu cry in a way I had never seen any woman cry before, not for herself, but for the truth. She knew they were framing her up, but there was nothing she could do. According to Paayeni, Ebony's family, who long coveted, who long coveted the spiritual seat of, Yeye Loru Osun for one of their own daughters, okay, manipulated the system using money and influence. They believed, Iyaitunu's presence blocked their ambition, and so the scheme to get her out of the way. They even forged documents and presented counterfeit record to back their false claims. This is what this Baba was saying why he was crying that, he was paid, and they threatened him that if he doesn't do as, they have said, they are going to bring this out, bring that out. They said that was what happened. In Paayeni's confession, okay, he stated clearly that Iyaitunu never sold artifact to Chinese buyers and never violated any spiritual law. On the contrary, she preserved, protected, and alleviated the sacred traditions, especially those of the Oshun people. Her only crime was that she was loved by both the people and the gods, a combination that made her dangerous in the eyes of those hungry for power, okay? As word of this confession began to spread quickly among inner circle, those who had once turned their back on Iyaitunu are now begging, to whisper apologies. Some women who stood against Iyaitunu have even privately reached out, begging for forgiveness and admitting that they were misled. Iyaitunu has remained largely silent this 3 years, is yet to respond publicly. The woman is said to have sacrificed so much. Yes, that she has. People say she sacrificed so much, she has worked so hard for that position. But like Ebony, that whatever she wants, she must get. Just like Queen Naomi was there minding her business in her marriage, Ebony thought that Queen Naomi didn't deserve to be with the Oni of Ife. She happens to be the one who deserved to be with the Oni of Ife. What did Ebony do? Ebony decided to push Naomi out with all the allegations and everything. They succeeded in pushing her out. At the time, she thought that Oni of Ife would marry her alone. But when Kabiyesi was to do, Kabiyesi brought 6 women. As a matter of fact, she was the last person that Kabiyesi brought in. Now, for the Yoruba spiritual community, this revelation may be the beginning of a larger, reckoning the misuse of divine authority to destroy lives, especially under the cover of sacred tradition, has opened wounds that may take a long time to heal. As Paayeni, he knows his time is short. From when they were saying this, they said it was over the weekends that all of this drama unfolded that we heard. Paayeni cried and begged for forgiveness. So basically, when you see what Ebony is doing, it's not just Ebony. It's her family. They are backing her up to achieve the things that they want her to achieve. And that is why you find out that each time these things come out, the elders are not allowing them pay. They are the ones who are squeezing immunity. They don't want Kabiyesi to remove immunity from these women. I'm going to bring you more updates. Do not forget that these are all alleged, rumored, unverified information making the rounds on social media and should not be seen as fact.